You never know how long it's going to take to get a film's story just right, and even if the script is sound, things could change over the course of a project's development. A movie isn't truly finalized until the director is in the editing bay, working hard on assembling the finished cut that will be shown in theaters. This means that several scenes or sequences can be left out on the cutting room floor, but in some cases, some of the actors aren't safe. Even after months of hard work, there's always a possibility an A-lister misses out on a film. Here are 10 popular movies that wasted a famous actor's role. And before we start, can you guess this movie from these emojis? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of our video. If you like what you see, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. When Jenna Malone was cast in Zack Snyder's Batman vs Superman, DC fans blew up the internet with theories and speculation about whom she'd play. After all the talk, it was surprising when Malone never showed up in the theatrical cut of the film. Her part was reinstated for the 3-hour Ultimate Edition on the Blu-ray, but it was far from what fans had hoped. Instead of Batgirl or some other important character, Malone was simply a lab tech that Lois Lane visited during her investigation. As disappointing as that might be, her scenes helped clear some muddled questions about the original version, so her content was still valuable. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. Sauron is the main baddie of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but he received a substantial amount of help from the Dark Wizard Saruman. The title, The Two Towers, refers to that duo's respective homes in Mordor and Isengard. They made for a nefarious pair, so it was a little odd when Saruman was absent from the grand finale, The Return of the King. At least in the theatrical version, the character has no real conclusion in the story. Director Peter Jackson cut Christopher Lee's scenes out as a creative decision, and planned to reinsert them later on the DVD. The actor was none too pleased by this move, and skipped the film's premiere.
Sorry, I love you, don't hate me.
Peter!
The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man series showcased Peter Parker's romance with Gwen Stacy, but originally the sequel was going to give the webhead 2 love interests to keep track of. Actress Shailene Woodley was cast as the fiery redhead Mary Jane Watson and shot some scenes for the movie. She was on set for the span of a few days, filming material with Andrew Garfield to set up further development in sequels. Eventually, director Mark Webb removed this subplot entirely in an effort to streamline the main story. This was probably for the best, since a major element of Amazing Spider-Man 2 was Gwen's death.
What are you doing? Did you eat one of those? Did you eat one of those?
Late Saturday.
Bridesmaids. Paul Rudd usually plays a charming, easygoing guy that you'd like to get a beer with, but actors are always looking for ways to challenge themselves. Rudd thought he had such a part when he was cast in the hit comedy Bridesmaids. His role was a small one, a real jerk of a guy that Kristen Wiig goes out with when she's looking for a dating rebound. Rudd excelled at playing against his type, but he was perhaps a little too good at it. Early test screenings did not receive this character fondly, and Rudd was ultimately cut from the Oscar-nominated film. Maybe one day he'll get to show his mean side in a movie. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Harrison Ford has several films to his name, but among his most famous are his collaborations with Steven Spielberg. By the end of this decade, Ford will have worked with the director on 5 Indiana Jones movies, but the dynamic duo could have combined forces for another one of Spielberg's classics. Ford was cast as Elliot's school principal in E.T., and shot some fun and amusing scenes with Henry Thomas. But when it came time to edit, Spielberg felt they didn't add much to the story, and trimmed them out. E.T. went on to become one of the most beloved family films ever made, so the director chose wisely.
What are you doing up there?
Staying away from you.
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
Life of Pi. Ang Lee's Oscar-winning adaptation of this novel uses a framing device that involves an adult Pi telling his incredible story of survival to a journalist. In the finished film, that character is played by English actor Rafe Spall, but he wasn't the first one to have a stab at the role. Originally, Lee cast former Spider-Man Tobey Maguire, but later determined that Maguire was too famous for what amounted to a bit part, and would have distracted the audience from the narrative. Maguire stepped aside and made way for Spall, whom Lee apparently had no issues with. It would have been nice to see Maguire on the screen again, but this was not the meatiest role he could have taken.
She's dangerous. So am I.
Avengers: Age of Ultron. Earth's mightiest are the most famous characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and their popularity is rivaled by perhaps only villain Loki. Since his first appearance in 2011's Thor, the God of Mischief has become a standout figure in the franchise, with Tom Hiddleston reprising the role multiple times to many fans' delight. He was the main antagonist in the first Avengers movie, and while he wasn't the focus of the sequel, Joss Whedon had initially planned for Loki to return. Hiddleston shot a cameo for Thor's dream sequence, but it was cut because test audiences thought Loki was the one controlling Ultron. It made sense for the film, and Loki will return in Thor: Ragnarok. Black Mass. This true story crime drama was seen as Johnny Depp's comeback role, as he earned a Best Actor nomination from the Screen Actors Guild for his performance. But Depp wasn't the only big name who was part of the project. Tough girl Sienna Miller was cast to play Bulger's girlfriend Catherine Gregg, and spent some time filming scenes with Depp. But in post-production, director Scott Cooper decided the film would be better off if Miller was cut completely, feeling her removal would narrow the scope of the sprawling narrative. Some reviewers felt that Whitey's character lacked some depth, and perhaps those cut scenes would have added some. Maybe Cooper should have looked for something else to axe. The Good Dinosaur. Pixar is typically a lock for critically acclaimed box office hits, but The Good Dinosaur is a rare misstep in their filmography. The movie was plagued by numerous production difficulties, which caused the creative team to overhaul the script. Back in 2014, star John Lithgow commented that everything had been completely reimagined, and the actors would have to re-record voiceover to fit the new material. Unfortunately, some of the actors cast in the initial version, like Lithgow and Neil Patrick Harris, were unable to come back and had to be replaced, meaning all their work in the booth was for nothing. Furious 7. Before she became Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot was part of a different blockbuster franchise, The Fast and the Furious. She appeared as the character Giselle in 3 installments and was supposed to return for 2015's Furious 7. Gadot filmed scenes where Giselle takes Letty to the hospital after Letty is injured in a car explosion, but those parts ended up being edited out completely. Giselle's role in the monster hit was reduced to archive footage from previous movies and a still photograph, despite Gadot receiving top billing on the project. Fans enjoyed watching her, so it's a shame her final performance was cut. These are just some of the actors who were cut from their movies. Which ones did we miss? Let us know in the comments below. And the answer to the movie emoji is... Did you get the right answer? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Screen Rant for more fun videos like this one.